Hola and welcome back to More Love Bakudan. Here we are on our way to Tokyo. Himeko and I shuffled onto the train bound for Tokyo and began our journey out for the big city. Felt very strange to be going back there. I'd said earlier that it hadn't been a while, but really it really hadn't. What, maybe a couple weeks at most. Life had just moved incredibly fast since I'd been back in Akiyama, and that was something that I could easily mistake for a long period of time. No, it had only been a few weeks, really. I'd barely had the time to set down any roots in Akiyama before I'd met Himeko. And after a few hours, as the train began to pull into the grand capital of Tokyo, which is not actually the capital of Japan, much to my surprise, I felt like I'd returned to a second home. Ooh. I had plans to go to Tokyo last year until, COVID hit and kind of fucked it all up. But one of these days. Wow! Himiko's eyes boggled. The bright lights surround us, and I felt myself strangely in a sea of nostalgia that I didn't even know I had. The sights, the sounds, even the smells of Tokyo were something I'd begun to become increasingly familiar with. Despite that I was definitely a small-town girl at heart, this had also been my home for a brief period of time, too. And I think amidst my apathy over leaving Akiyama, I'd completely lost sight of that for a while. Impressive, isn't it? It's beautiful. I grinned as Himeko marveled at the world around her and held her suitcases in my hand. It was quite the shock when compared with a place like Akiyama. Sure, Akiyama's red light district at least had some of the glitz and neon that Tokyo brought within some of the districts. But for the most part, it was definitely a city that couldn't be replicated anywhere else. It was the capital of Japan, a place to be proud of. Also not the capital of Japan. It was somewhere that many different people from all walks of life longed to visit. I felt proud to be stood here, as opposed to the teenage angst I felt before my leaving all the friends. Nice to be back. It is? Yeah, it really is, and it's even nicer to be back here with you. It's that big city vibe, hustle and bustle, hard to replicate that. There's something nice about that, too. Haruka, you're gonna spend all day teasing me. I wasn't teasing you that time, I really meant it. I'm glad to be here with you, Himeko. Let's make sure we come away from it with an even nicer experience under our belt. Taken aback by my candid reply, Himeko looked at me first in shock before I watched her beautiful lips curve into that full smile. Yeah, let's do this, Haruka. I smiled, and taking Himeko by the hand, I began to lead us through the bustling streets of Tokyo and in the direction of our hotel. The hotel that Shoji had paid to put us up at was called Miller Street. I'd never heard of it before, but it sure seemed fancy. After a brief process downstairs of explaining just who we were to the desk clerk, we were eventually led upstairs to our bedroom, and both Himeko and myself marveled at the sight. Ooh. Whoa. Wow. The bedroom was gorgeous. If you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to let us know. We will. Wow, Haruka, this place is amazing. Himeko smiled in disbelief at the sight before us. I had to admit they'd gone all the way out with where they were paying for us to stay. This was the real deal, huh? Himeko and I apparently realized that at the exact same time, because as she stood looking at the hotel room before our eyes, I could see that she was terrified. Hey, what if this doesn't work out? Everything's gonna be fine, Himeko. I promised you that, right? I know, but when do you have to go meet with the editor? At 4 this afternoon? I checked the clock on the hotel wall. It was already 2:30, so we had about an hour and a half to kill, huh? Come here. Ah. Pulling Himeko into a warm embrace, I wrapped my arms around her and felt her body pressing warmly against mine. It'll be alright. Himiko's arms hooked underneath my arms to rest her head on my hands on my shoulders and buried her face into the crook of my neck. I know it even more when you hold me like this. I felt the cold lenses of Himiko's glasses prickle against the skin of my neck, and my arms held her tighter against me. Our bodies felt so familiar against one another now. It almost felt unusual to have clothes on when we were like this. We'd had such an intense, successful sexual chemistry and an even higher emotional connection. We stood here like this with her just felt so good. I promise Himiko, everything will be alright. I stroked the back of Himiko's dark hair as I held her, and I felt her lean back against my arms. I wish we had more time to ourselves. I blinked before I realized just what she was saying. I felt my own body suddenly become electrified by arousal, as if I needed any help with that. Ugh, me too. We got an hour and a half, come on. Can't take that long. It's alright, I know we wouldn't finish in just an hour. Himiko laughed quietly as we stood here at the hotel room, and I shook my head with a blush of my own. Honestly, Himiko, that'll just give you something to look forward to later, won't it? Of course. I feel a lot better now just from thinking about that. Well, there you go. Whenever you're nervous, just think about sex. Got it. I already did, but got it. I chuckled as I kissed Himiko on the forehead and nodded towards our suitcase. Let's just unpack our stuff and get going. How about that? Okay, I think that's a good idea. If we wait around in this room, we'll probably end up being late. Wow, she must have been feeling it. God, why didn't we get here earlier? Himiko and I had unpacked her stuff, kissed, almost fucked, then kissed again, and then eventually we're out the door with half an hour to spare. Alright, I think the place you're looking for is down here. Himiko's grip around my hand tightened and I shook my head. Alright, don't worry. Just about what I told you. I am, but it's not working. Well, I'll have to up my game. Himiko chuckled at the crassness of just what we were both saying, before eventually, after a bit of walking, we came to the front of the Shoujo Leap building. Want me to come in with you or wait out here? Could I ask you to wait here? Sure, that's fine. Any reason? Why? I think she has to do it on her own, right? Himiko wrung her hands together nervously before exhaling a breath before she looked up at me once more. I want to have the courage to do this kind of thing alone, you know? Good for you, Himiko. Sure, I'll wait out here. Himiko smiled apologetically at me as she nodded and turned to face the automatic doors before us. Deep breath and then go. Himiko took a deep breath, closing her eyes as she let it circulate around her lungs, and exhaled it slowly to calm her nerves. Okay, I'm off. Good luck. Remember, don't sign anything until you've read it over thoroughly, okay? I won't. I mean, I will read it. You know what I mean. I laughed as I watched Himiko walk into the editor's building, folded up my arms as I went back against the wall, and looked up at the sky. So beautiful. So much had happened in my life over the last few weeks that, honestly, I couldn't quite believe it. Found a girlfriend, a new business, moved back home to Akiyama, I'd reconnected with old friends, made new ones. Life was an interesting event, and the biggest one that any single person on this earth had to deal with. The people we met, the ways we chose to deal with things, these were all factors that we had to live with. So far, I felt like I'd make the right choices, and I was very interested to see where life went next for me. Looking out over the city before me, there were so many different types of people ahead that was just crazy. So many different people, so many different ways of living, so many different struggles and joys that each person had to deal with. Having met Himiko, honestly, I hadn't really realized just how glorious life could be. Sure, sex was great and everything, but to have sex and love? Now that was the best way to live. I smiled to myself and continued to lean back against the wall, lost in thought. Thought about how I'd visited my parents later on, see how they were doing. Also thought about Yuki sleeping with Teru, what the hell was going on there? Or had something actually blossomed between them, truly. Love was always in the air, I guess. The minutes felt like hours as I waited for Himiko to re-emerge from the Shoujo Leap. I hoped that she was doing alright in there. I was very impressed at her bravery by going in there alone in the first place. I'd been anticipating her saying that, though. I mean, she might have been shy, but she certainly was no wallflower. I wonder how she's doing. I really, really hope that she was achieving her dream as I waited. I got lost in watching the clouds as I waited for Himiko. So many beautiful natural formations. So many clouds overhead in one particular place. It must have been at least an hour by the time Himiko finally emerged from the building. As I tore my gaze away from the fluffy, cloud-like animal I'd concocted inside my brain, I turned to face her. Himiko, how'd it go? Himiko had a strange look on her face. First, I couldn't place it. Anger? Disbelief? She was so out of sorts. For a meeting that had been about something so serious, too, an hour had been a considerably short time for that. I'd initially wondered if it was just a very cut and dry kind of case, as Himiko had already done the groundwork. I mean, she didn't need to put it forward as a pitch or anything. They already knew what she wanted to do. They knew her about her idea. So why did she look the way she did? And that was when I realized. She wasn't angry or in disbelief necessarily. Instead, she was disappointed. She trailed off and closed her eyes. I couldn't tell if she was trying to hold back the tears or not. Miko, what is it, honey? They want to publish the manga. Well, it's awesome, isn't it? They want to publish it under a different name. Someone else's name. Oh, fuck that. That's your work. I blinked, processing the words she was saying. A different name? Basically, they want me to ghostwrite it for another mangaka. I would have to do all the planning, panel layouts, the details. Then someone else copies my work, puts their name on it, and gets the final say on what happens in my story. That's awful. That's a horrible deal. I mean, I could see why some people would just take it. They'd get all the attention for it, too. I paused, shaking my head in disbelief as she stood before me in such a dejected manner. I placed my hands on her shoulders. What? They want someone else to take the credit for your work? Yes. Would they pay you for it? Himiko sighed wearily. They offered me money, but it's not... I don't want it for them. No, I know, I judge. Okay. Himiko closed her eyes, frustrated by her lack of expression before she took a breath again. I just wanted to be under my work. It's a story. An idea. Himiko, I'm hard on it. They even held a competition for it, so why? Why can't it just be mine? Real dilemma. I hate they put you in this position. On one hand, your story would get famous, and honestly, I bet it would get popular. I could totally see getting an anime adaptation, but it wouldn't be mine anymore. Yeah. Himiko ran a hand through her hair. They gave you some time to think it over, huh? They did, yes. Himiko looked like her eyes were going to brim over with tears. Haruka, I'm so sorry to ask this, but can I spend some time alone? Alone? Yes, please. Himiko trailed off. I placed a hand on her shoulder. You need some time with your thoughts? Yes. Alright. Frustrated that I couldn't do anything to help her, all I could do was accept it. If this was what she wanted to do, then this was what was best for her. Man. That's rough. Ghostwriting's such a shit thing. Because someone may write a book, right? And you think, oh man, this person wrote this book. But they might, but they might not have. It could have been someone else writing it. But you never know that. Because it was awful. I walked Himiko back to the front door of our room in the hotel. She barely said a word on the way home. I felt terrible. Why did we feel terrible? I mean, yeah, I know we're bad, but it's not like we knew any of this going in. It does suck, though. I mean, man, you think you have your dream, right? You're finally gonna get to publish your manga. Your dream's starting to come true, and then it's like, no, we want this to be somebody else's dream. Awful. Thanks, Haruka. It's alright, just do what you have to do. Are you sure you'll be okay? Me? Oh yeah, I'll be fine. I'm gonna go see my parents. You'll be here when I come back, I take it? Of course. I don't want you to go, huh? Makes me feeling abysmal. If she's seriously asking for some alone time. I'll see you later. Just give what you want to think about a really good long thing. This is your dream after all. Be gentle. Yumiko turned around from the front door and kissed me on the lips. See you later. I felt sad. Yumiko closed the door behind her softly as I turned to walk away, and the whole thing felt so unnatural. It felt wrong to not be with her at almost every waking moment of the day. Even if that was just a habit we'd gotten into, I didn't want to be away from her at all, and that was what made me the most frustrated. God damn company. Why couldn't they just stick to their word? I knew it was too good to be true. Hoping. I decided there was a little more I could do than do as Himiko had asked, and I gave her the space that she wanted. That's gonna be it for this video. It's a bit shorter than I like, but unfortunately I had a very long day. But I'll be back on Friday. Y'all have a good night, and take care.